We got Randolph Turpin, who was nicknamed the Leamington Licker after his hometown in Warwickshire, Leamington. And there's also a silver belt that's going on auction that was won by a Birmingham boxer named Jem Kearney in a 74 round fight with Jack McAuliffe. That belt is expected to go for £10,000. 74 rounds. Randolph Turpin's 1951 boxing news belt also has a reserve of about £3,000 for the sale by fellas auctioneers. Lightweight Jim Kearney, he fought Jack McAuliffe for the American Holskay International Challenge title in Revere, Massachusetts. The bout was stopped and declared a draw after more than 4 hours, with both fighters being awarded a belt. So I'm assuming the Jack McAuliffe belt is still in America. I'm looking at the boxing news and their belt that they awarded to Randolph Turpin after a poll to find out who did the most for British boxing in 1951. I didn't realise the Boxing News magazine handed out any kind of belts. Where did it start and why did it stop is the next question, which my inquisitive mind will have to research. Randolph Turpin won 3 British middleweight titles during the 50s, and he defeated Sugar Ray Robinson at Earl's Court in London to win the middleweight title in 1951. The Boxing News trade paper awarded him a belt after he was voted the fighter to make the biggest contribution to British boxing that year. A bronze statue of Mr. Turpin was erected in Warwick's Town Square in 2001. Both belts are being sold at Fellows Auction House in Birmingham's Jewel Quarter. I'm going to assume, as time goes by, Randolph Turpin's belt will only increase in value. Even though it's not the world title belt, it's a boxing news belt. But, you know, £3,000, it's not a bad sale. As an amateur, I'm assuming in the 40s, Randolph Turpin won the junior ABA and the senior ABA in the same year, and it hasn't been done since. He was a very good fighter. I'm assuming this was back in the early part of the decade. Turpin's hallmarked 9-carat gold Lonsdale belt was sold at an auction for £23,000. It was awarded by the British Boxing Board of Control after he won the national light heavyweight title for the 3rd time in 1956. Turpin lost his title that he won from Sugar Ray Robinson in 1951, 63 days later after he won it, in Madison Square Garden. Turpin retired in 1958 with 73 contests, 64 wins, 1 draw and 8 losses. He died in 1966 with increasing health problems and financial worries. His full name was Randolph Adolphus Turpin, born in 1928, said by many to be Europe's best boxer in the 40s and the 50s. His dad was a black man who had immigrated from Guyana, and his mother was a white British woman. He started boxing at Leamington Boys Club. Turned professional in 1946 after his 18th birthday. He won the British middleweight title in 5 rounds at the Haringey Arena, just down the road from me, which is no longer there, in 1950, avenging a win to Albert Finch, who previously KO'd him. Turpin got his revenge and took Finch out. Turpin grew resentful as his money ran out and he couldn't maintain the life that being a world champion gave him. He continued fighting. He knocked out Don Cockle to win the British light heavyweight title. Don Cockle fought Rocky Marciano for the heavyweight title. Turpin put a beating on him. He did put a beating on him. He went back down in weight and won the British title again. Eventually he earned himself a title shot at Boba Olsen for the middleweight title that Sugar Ray Robinson had left vacant after retiring, and he lost a 15-round decision. Boba Olsen was a good fighter, was a very good fighter, but his legacy will be known for getting beaten up by Sugar Ray Robinson. Every time I see Boba Olsen, he's always getting beaten up and knocked out by Ray. In 1958, he lost to Yolande Pompey, who fought Archie Moore with not much success, as I remember. At light heavyweight, second round knockout, and he retired. I also remember the Italian guy knocking him out quite spectacularly. In his retirement, he bought a public house on the Great Orme in Wales, which is not in England. It's in Britain, but it's not in England. And apparently there's still several great artifacts in the public house relating to Turpin, who was the registered licensee. After being declared bankrupt, Turpin committed suicide by shooting himself in 1966. It's reported that on the same day he tried to kill his daughter. He was found dead on Gwen's Transport Cafe in Leamington Spa, where he lived with his wife and 4 daughters. One of his daughters, Carmen, age 4, was taken to hospital with 2 gunshot wounds. Wow. I always knew he committed suicide. I just never knew the full details and the circumstances. But, his daughter survived, though. He won his last 2 bouts by KO, but his best years were way past him. They were mediocre opposition, to say the least. The Italian guy who I was thinking of is Tiberio Mitri. He KO'd him in 1 TKO loss. It was quite a spectacular loss, It's on YouTube. What a lot of people don't know is that his brother Dick Turpin, who actually died in 1990, his brother Dick was a British and Commonwealth champion at middleweight. Actually, the first black or mixed race fighter to win a British boxing title is Dick Turpin. He used to actually train Randolph. Apparently there was another brother, Jack Turpin, who was a featherweight. I don't know how well he did. Dick Turpin won the British title in 1948, outpointing Vince Hawkins over 15 rounds. Previously, he knocked out Richard Bose Murphy of New Zealand in the first round to become the Commonwealth champion. Dick Turpin, not to be confused with a highwayman. Actually, Dick Turpin fought Marcel Cerdan, a French middleweight, very good French middleweight, 115 fights, 111 wins, 65 KOs, only 4 losses. The only man to stop him was Jake LaMotta. The fight with Tony Zell is absolutely amazing, It's much what stuff, Marcel Cerdan and Tony Zell. Looking through Marcel Cerdan's box rec, he's actually fought somebody named James Toney, an Algerian version, I think. Obviously not the one we know today. That was in 1943. There was no title on the line when Marcel fought Dick Turpin in Kensington, London. He KO'd him in 7. I was watching that on Pathé News as I was making this video. Pathé News, man, if you guys can get past the voices that sounded like that when they used to speak. If you go on a Pathé News website and type in boxing, you'll find a lot of good stuff in there. A whole lot of good stuff if you're into that historical trip like I am. And there you go. Dick and Randolph Turpin, iconic British fighters. Peace out.